Hi, I'm Sarah from This Girly Goes Sews. I'm a fabric lover and upgrading addict. I sew clothes from scratch and also turn tired wardrobe items into exciting new garments. If you love creative makes and clothes with personality, stick around and let's make something fabulous. Welcome to part 2 of sewing a co-ord set out of this lovely knit fabric that I have from Minerva. It's got a beautiful texture on it. If you've seen part 1, that was how to make the Brooklyn knit pants by Stylark, which I made the bottom half of the co-ord. Today I'm going to look at the top half of the co-ord, which is going to be based on this pattern, which is actually a free pattern from Peppermint Magazine. It's the Paddington top, and as you can see, it's a fabulous shape, but I'm going to be doing some changes to it. The basic shape of this Paddington top is big sleeves, but they're just below shoulder length, although you can pull them up higher. But for me, because I have quite loose cuffs, they're just below shoulder length. I'm going to lengthen them. So I'll show you how to lengthen the arm. I'm going to put wide cuffs on the bottom to take them down to sort of wrist length, not really long, but just wrist length. I'm also going to put a wide band around the bottom so that it sits sort of a bit more blouson-y onto the top of the trousers that I've already made. So as you can see, the neckline is actually, it's okay in the front, but I might make that slightly higher. It needs to be brought in on the sleeves and brought up on the back just to make it tighter in the neck. Now these are raglan sleeves, so we're going to have to basically tweak the sleeves and the front and the back to actually bring the neck in tighter. I'm going to put a little neckband on it as well, so it looks a bit more sweatshirty. So that's the plan. Let's get started. So first of all, we're going to take the back piece and the sleeve. What I've done is actually folded the sleeve in half, and that's the front section, which is slightly narrower, and then the other side is the back. So that's the back. So we need to match up the bottom of there with taking into account the seam allowances, and then match up the top there. So that's basically how your sleeve's going to attach, and obviously then you've got the shaping for the sleeve. Now I want to make this higher and this narrower. So what I'm going to do is actually grab another pattern that has a dual neckline, and then I'm going to lay that underneath so that I can see how much I need to alter these patterns by. If we line up the underarm, we know that that needs to go up about 1 inch or so, which is about right. And then we lay the sleeve on there as well. We can see how much the sleeve needs to go up to actually bring it in to be a dual neckline. So what we need to do then is get some extra paper and actually draw out what we need as extra on the sleeve and the back. So the back needs to continue up to about there, and it needs to continue up from the line of the back piece. So that takes us up to there, and then that needs to go round like that. So that's where the back piece ends, and that's where the back piece ends. So that's the extra bit for the back. So we now move that round so that we can get the extra bit for the half of the sleeve. We need to get the back of the sleeve and the back of the sleeve so they line up there. Take into account the seam allowance, and then we need to just draw in half of the sleeve. So continue the fold line there up to there, and then the sleeve needs to go up to there. bottom, and that's the bottom. So that you can draw around like that, and then that, draw around like that. So those are the 2 extra bits that need to go onto the top of your sleeves, on top of your back and your back sleeve. So if we just cut the back piece to start with, and we need a bit so that we can actually stick it onto the back. So that needs to be stuck onto the back like that. Remove the other piece away. Let me just stick that piece to extend the back, and then we can just cut this to there. So that's the back. And the other, and cut that one out. For back half of the sleeve. So then again, just stick that to the back half of the sleeve so that extends the back like so, because that curls in very slightly at the back. So extend the back, and then we need to do the same. Extends the back like that, and then we need to unfold the sleeve, and then we need to do exactly the same on the front and the front of the sleeve. So now we're going to lengthen the sleeve, because I want to lengthen the sleeve by probably about 10 centimetres. So there is a lengthen shorten line. So if you just cut along that line, effectively cut your pattern piece in half, and then however much longer you want your sleeve to be, reattach the pieces together. So if we get some paper, There's a little bit of glue on the edge. This is going to lengthen my sleeve by almost 10 centimetres, which is about what I want. So literally stick that there. Make sure you keep those centre lines. Make sure you keep those centre lines lined up there. Actually added about 9 centimetres there to the length of my sleeve. And what you'll need to do is actually just take that up the edge of there. A pencil and a ruler, and then from the point there to the point there, you need to just cut that off. And with another piece of paper, just put another piece of paper down the edge there. So from there to there, to make that a whole side. And same on the other side, so just draw a line from the point there up to the point under the armhole. Oh. Just cut it off. And there we have a new longer sleeve. I haven't made the sleeve wider, I've kept it the same width, I've just lengthened it by about 9 centimetres. So we have a neckband and a nice wide waistband, which will be doubled over. We have 2 cuffs, which will be doubled over. Two sleeves, one front cut on the fold, and one back again cut on the fold. So we're ready to sew. The thing I'm going to do is actually construct the bands. So I'm just going to sew them all in the round and then overlock them doubled over, so they'll be ready to sew on when I've constructed the main body of the sweatshirt. So make sure that the pattern is all lined up across there, and then just sew the ends together. So that's the waistband sewn together, and then what I'm going to do is just overlock the edges together along there so that that's ready to sew on as a waistband. I'm going to do the same with the cuffs and also the neckband. What I'm going to do first is actually sew the sleeves to the back and then the sleeves to the fronts, and that will form the basis of the garment. Then I can sew up underneath the sleeves and attach all of the bands to it. That's the sleeve and this is the back. So what you want to do first of all is right sides together. Just pin the sleeves and back together and then sew those, and then do exactly the same on the front. So I'm just going to sew down those first two to attach the sleeves to the back. I've just done the initial try on. It's still pinned up the sides, but I've sewn the raglan shaping together now. So as you can see, once the band goes on the bottom of there, that's going to bring that up really nicely. The sleeves are a really good length. They're going to have the band on the bottom there, which is going to bring them up just above cuff length, so sort of bracelet length, which is a really nice length. And as you can see, the neck has been brought in really, really nicely. And once I have it's higher at the back there, and it's higher on both of the sleeves, but not too bad in the front. So once that's all sewn and all the bands are on and the gathers are done on the sleeve, I think that's going to look really, really very good. So next I'm just easing the neckband into the neck area. I'm stretching it slightly so that it actually lays flat once I've sewn it in. I'm using clips because they're easier to manoeuvre. And once I've clipped it in, you just need to sew all the way around. Next is gathering the bottom of the sleeves to attach the cuffs. I did a running stitch all the way around the bottom of the cuff, which I'm now gathering in to fit the actual size of the cuff. You need to be very gentle that you don't break the thread doing this, because it is a lot of gathers and it is a very tight gather on this one because there's a lot of fabric to actually get into quite a small little cuff. Regularly I just check against the size of the cuff. It needs to be gathered a little bit more, so let's gather it in a little bit more now until it's very, very tight. I don't think I can gather it any more actually. And then just fasten off the ends by wrapping it round a pin. And then I need to just check the cuff size again, just against the thing, and it's perfect size, so now I can sew it. So I've just gathered both the sleeves in. I'm now just going to attach the cuffs to both the sleeves very carefully so that I don't snap the gathering. So I'm just going to use clips, gently clip them on, because the fabric is quite thick and it's really, really gathered. So I do need to be a little bit careful how I do this. So once all the clips are in place, you can carefully and slowly sew the cuffs to the sleeves, and then obviously do exactly the same on the waistband, although you don't need to gather it. I just stretched it slightly to sew the waistband into place. So my sweatshirt's now finished. As you can see, I've finished off the neck and then top stitched just around there, just to make sure that that lies flat. I put the cuffs on and gather the sleeves into the cuffs. I put the lovely stripes down the side to match the trousers, and after I sewed the band on the bottom, I've also top stitched around there just to make sure that stays flat, and there's a bit of extra security then as well. And there's a stripe down the other side. So that's all finished and ready to wear with the trousers. I hope you enjoyed the video of how to make this sweatshirt and hack the Paddington top pattern. This was obviously part 2. If you want to see how I made the trousers, obviously go back and have a look at part 1. If you like this video, please click like below and also subscribe to my channel so that I can make lots of other videos for you to have a look at. I will add some footage afterwards, just with me wearing the sweatshirt with the trousers, so that you can have a look and see what you think. Bye!